got our podcast thinking you should watch it. If you driving, man, it's good for you to listen. No, we keep it real. No, we spit it raw. Sports dialogue. No, it's good if I'm involved. No, we're not the news. We just cool dude with nobody to impress. Just talking our shit. Call it pressman coverage. Pressman coverage.
Welcome into Pressman Coverage, a podcast dedicated to you, the fan. These next few weeks are some pivotal weeks for the Tennessee Titans franchise. We're going to be making a decision on who our head coach is. Today, we've got a fun exercise. We're going to break these coaches up into tiers. But before we do any sort of arguing, yelling, whatever we're going to do with this tier list, got to introduce the crew. Me and my dog, Captain Cody Moore, today. Talk to the people.
Mano y mano, my friend. Stone Cold versus The Rock.
That's right.
This is how it's gonna be today. You know, Randy had his cheapskate perfect off season. Amy hired him to be his budget, his accountant, and everything else. So he's no longer with us. That's just I'm just kidding. He's got some stuff going on, but he'll be back on the next episode, and he'll be back with his ignorance.
We already know that, and you know what? I'm in my head. I'm just pretending that Randy is going with Amy and the team to go to John Harbaugh's house apparently for his interview.
He couldn't come see us. We had to go to him.
He's like, yeah. Oh, that's cool. I know I was in the Giants facility, but come to the house.
Yeah, you think
come to the house? You
think Denard Wilson was like, "Hey, man, just to show that you think that they really care, see if they'll come to you and just see if Amy would be against it." and now we're on the PJ on the way.
On the way, man. Look,
let's do it.
That was the whole goal, was to get a little PJ time. So here we are. Everybody wants to be on the PJ. Okay, look. So today we are going to break down not every single coaching candidate and put them on the tier list all day long. To be honest with you, and then if we're just keeping it real, there's 5 or 6 names. Is it even worth putting them into a tier? We know where they fall. Mike McCoy, I mean, hey, you weren't even the head coach when you were the head coach.
Lou Anarumo, he's talking to you.
Steve Spagnuolo, talking to you too, sir.
Yeah.
So we are going to break down this list and have a little bit of fun with it today to make sure we know exactly where these coaches stand with us. So without further ado, we're going to break down this tier list one step at a time. All right, so let's start out, Cody, with the John Harbaugh. Head coach tenure, 180 wins to 113 losses, a 61.4% winning percentage. Was the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens from 2008 to 2025. His averaged offensive ranking, and this is in points scored, was 12th. For all of that time he was there, 12th. His average defensive ranking in terms of points allowed.
Through 18 years?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's well.
His average defensive ranking in terms of points allowed was 4th. That's the average, was 4th. Goodness freaking gracious. So, with that being said, John Harbaugh to me is an obvious home run hire. I don't think there's really much else to even say. I mean, Cody, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, well, before we get into all this, just for people who may be listening on the audio, we're kind of breaking this down to 4 different tiers. There's home run, which would be considered like your S tier, the happy but not hype, which is kind of like your A tier, the I guess, which I would probably put more like a B, and then please no Michael Scott voice, which is like a Z.
Thank you so much for breaking that down. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. So to me, John Harbaugh to me, just starting out, I mean, it's a home run hire, 100%. This entire time that he's been with the Ravens, complete balance on offense and defense. You assume that he would bring in Todd Monken. He's been pretty innovative with his offensive schemes. I would challenge people to go even look at his stuff in Georgia. Watch with Stetson Bennett, and then watch after Stetson Bennett when they got a different OC. It's a completely different offense. And Georgia has not been as prolific in college football. So, you know, Todd Monken, if he brings Todd Monken here, I would be super excited for the potential of that, what he can do with Cam Ward. I think he's super innovative. And to me, it's a complete home run hire. I think it's a complete culture shift. I think it's a complete floor raiser for what this team could be. If we hire John Harbaugh tomorrow, I think we probably win 8 games.
Woo! And that's saying a lot.
That's 100%. I think he's that much of a shift in like the building. Give him the $20 million. Give him his $10 million for his staff. Give him the keys to the city. Bring him in.
That's just it, man. You know, and the thing that I like about him is he really only had, you know what's kind of crazy? I know they'd had multiple starters because of injuries and stuff like that, but really only 2 primary quarterbacks during his whole tenure. Mm-hmm. He had Joe Flacco when he first got there. I think he won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco as a rookie, if I'm not mistaken, and then directly into Lamar Jackson. So he's had 2 very different style quarterbacks, yes, yet has seen consistent success in terms of making the playoffs, having a solid offensive output, and then defensively, the Ravens defense just speaks for itself. Even on their down years, they still end up being in the top 15, top 20 in the league at the worst that they've ever been. So I'm excited about it. I think that, you know, having a guy like Harbaugh, like you said, Cody, raises the floor of this team. And that's something that we just need right now. Right now, we're in the basement, man. We need somebody who can come in, produce identity, produce buy-in, and get us to that next level.
Well, that's the thing too, man, is that his even his coaching tree, his staff, I mean, it's like elite stuff. I mean, you're talking Dean Pease, you're talking Zach Orr, you're talking Wink Martindale, Chuck Pagano. I mean, just think of anybody that he could bring in alongside with him. I mean, the coaching staff here would be an elite coaching staff, which, you know, Mike Vrabel was an elite coach, but his counterparts alongside him were subpar for the most part. You know what I mean? So I think you bring in John Harbaugh. I think he brings in an elite staff, and I think it's an instant floor raiser. I think we're, you know, conversations for wild card spots and winning 8 games or so. I really do believe that.
Yeah, and you know, man, speaking of his staff, you know, it's interesting because, you know, we've also got a staff member of his formerly on our team. What do you think about Denard Wilson? You know, it seems like to me, he's somebody who came from solid lineage. Mm-hmm. But what are your thoughts on Denard?
I love Denard. I love his attitude. I love the fact that he was all season he was trying to make chicken salad out of chicken bleep. We've talked about this multiple times. He has nothing to work with. He had Jeffrey Simmons, a 450-pound Javondre Sweat, a second-round pick who wasn't playing, and Arden Key. And he got Cedric Gray to get 164 tackles and Kevin Winston Jr. looking like the next Kyle Hamilton. If we get John Harbaugh, my opinion, I think you should try to keep him if you can. If you can try to keep Denard Wilson, I think he's I think he's still relatively young, promising youth coach. Yeah. I would try keeping him around. I really would, and bring Todd Monken in with him.
You know, and that's the thing, man, is like, you know, you look at what Denard did. Just look at the edge rusher room. Like, you have to look any further than that. All of our guys probably deserve to make $7 million or less in the league. Like,
or
legit.
If you're Randy, no 200,000.
Right. With incentives out the world. And, like, look at what he did with them. Like, we thought we were going to have the worst pass rushing unit in the league. And somehow we finished around average, which is crazy considering what we had. We did not have a player that basically anybody else wanted. Draymond Jones was a key signing. But before we got, it was like he was just fought after, you know, by every single team. Like, we got him, and then a team like the Ravens want to go get him, and he performs when he gets over there, you know. And then you think about Mike McDonald getting the number 1 seed and being another piece off the John Harbaugh tree. I'm not saying to go get Mike McDonald, but just saying he knows how to pick them, man. Yeah, who am I to say, man? He knows how to pick them.
I say, man, you get off that PJ and you give that man an offer he cannot refuse. I understand that you may have to beat the Giants or whatever, then figure out a way to do it, because I think it's just an instant home run hire. And I said this last pod, I think it gets Amy Adams Strunk back in the good graces of the fan base because she's winning the hire. And Mike Borgonzi, from what I can tell with like Paul Kuharsky and his reporting, he's like winning over these coaches too. So yeah. I think we got the perfect GM. you get the right head coach to go along with this, man. I think the future could look bright.
If they get John Harbaugh, and let's just say they got John Harbaugh, and somehow George Pickens said, "I want to come play," they're going to build Berganzi a statue outside of the stadium. Without a game being played, they're going to build a statue outside the stadium
straight up
before next season even starts. But okay, cool. Well, let's pivot over to a name who's a pretty polarizing name, and that is another coach with a winning record. I'm just going to start off by saying this. Mr. Matt Nagy, 4 years as the Chicago Bears head coach, 34-31 with 2 playoff appearances. And he's got 4 years as the Chiefs OC and then 5 years as the Chiefs quarterback coach / OC as well. So to look at what he's done, man, look, he's worked with Alex Smith. Some people say he's responsible for revitalizing Alex Smith's career. He had Mitch Trubisky when he was the head, but got Mitch Trubisky to a playoff. I think they won 10 games, I think, with Mitch Trubisky as the quarterback. And got
they
them
won
to
12 games, my friend.
12
games.
They
won with Mitchell Trubisky.
Now, with all that being said, I don't know if I want the brother.
But why? See, here's the thing. It's like I don't understand how Matt Nagy has become like the most hated man in the league. No. You know what, like the Dos Equis guy, he's the most interesting man. Like Matt Nagy is the most hated man in the NFL, where I almost felt like there's portions of this fan base are like, you know what? I'd rather have Mike McCoy as my head coach than Matt Nagy. What did Matt Nagy do that is so horrible?
You know, I'll tell you, I think it's 2 parts that just resonate and have sat inside of Titans fans' soul. I think part 1 is he's a non-play calling OC. I think that's what part 1 of this is. And then on the other, and obviously we dealt with that with Brian Callahan. On the other side of it, people are just so against, like, I'll say nepotism, but just buddy hires, whatever you want to call it. They feel like that's what it would be for Borgonzi. But at the same breath, why not hire somebody you know? If you really know he can do the job, what's wrong with hiring him? But I think those 2 things are the reasons why fans in general don't want him, man. I don't think there's anything to do with his track record. Like, yes, he was the Bears head coach, but he had a winning record as the Bears head coach.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I don't get it, man. He doesn't, of course, he doesn't deserve to be, exalted as this excellent head coach candidate and this and that. But people are treating him like he's just done nothing in the league. And you're right, man. It's perplexing.
Yeah, I mean, like, people even, like, try to blame him for, like, the Justin Fields stuff. Who the hell has done anything good with Justin Fields?
Literally. He's been 5 different places already.
Look, if we brought in Matt Nagy, originally if we would have brought in Matt Nagy, I would have been happy but not hype. With how these candidates have started coming out and how I've started hyping myself up for like a John Harbaugh or a Mike McDaniel or something like that, or like even like a Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's almost turned into, if we end up with Matt Nagy, it would almost be like disappointing.
Know it, man. I think it's like you said, it's less about him as a candidate and more about what he's up against. Like he's just solid. And you know what, man? Like, I think we have to at some point say, how much of a part did he play in Patrick Mahomes' development? Let's just be real about it. I mean, he was the Chiefs QB coach in OC 2013 through 2017, and then just 4 years, 2022 through 2025. Which is a heck of a span. If you're a Chiefs fan, you won a few Super Bowls during that time. Like, how can we not say he didn't play a part in that? Like, it's different if you're Brian Callahan. You're coming from a team where, yes, they had a good quarterback, but, they weren't known for success. This is a program that's known for success with the best quarterback in the NFL over the last decade. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I really do not understand all the hate. And he's apparently got this like hour-long, it's either like a documentary or maybe he's got like a book that's coming out or something that's kind of talking about like all the things where like he kind of went wrong in his coaching career or whatever. And I mean, he owns up to a lot of it, which I think is also a big part of like being a coach and being a leader, is like owning up to your mistakes. But as far as the tier list, where do you have Matt Nagy?
Let me jump it back up for the folks to see, man. Gosh, man.
I know, because it's either 2 or 3.
Yes. And it's like, I think I have to put him in the I guess category. And we'll see who ends up next to him because again, we've taken out a few of the names that we just know are going to be in the please no automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's next to some other respectable guys and it feels better a little bit later in the list. But as of right now, I am throwing Mr. Matt Nagy in I guess.
I guess.
I guess.
And he may end up being great for it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We'll see. Okay. All right. So jumping over to coach number 3. Cody, you want to talk a little bit about the next coach we got coming up? Big
yes,
Mike.
I will. Oh, Big Mike McCarthy. So I think this one's a little bit of a polarizing one. Started out with the Packers. He went over to the Cowboys. 13 years with the Packers. 125, 77-2 record with a Super Bowl win. He's won 10 playoff games. He went 49-35 with the Cowboys with 3 playoff wins. He's an offensive mind. He's another one of these developmental coaches. He knows how to get the quarterback right. Think of Aaron Rodgers. Think of Dak Prescott. I mean, he's been part of some successful offenses, man. To me, I think this is the kind of coach that this organization needs. I think he's somebody that's no BS, no nonsense, and he's a winner. Everywhere he goes, he wins.
Period.
Yeah, I mean, people look at him. He looks like he just goes to the local KFC and eats big buckets of fried chicken all day, and he's just licking his fingers watching film. But this guy, I mean, I think he's a really, really good head coach. I probably wouldn't go great because he's only won the 1 Super Bowl and he's had some elite quarterbacks. But you tell me what do you think about Mike McCarthy?
Man, you think about Mike is when I look at his average offensive ranking, which is 8. Let me jump back real quick. Nagy, average offensive ranking was 21st. Average defensive ranking was right around 10.5. Mike McCarthy, 8th. It was his average offensive ranking in terms of points scored. And then 18th was his average defensive ranking. He's a guy to me that can just show, okay, to me, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, being around those 2 quarterbacks, as odd as it sounds, I may get slapped for this, Cam is almost like the mix between those 2 players. Like, he's kind of like Dak where he's athletic but not crazy athletic. He's like Aaron Rodgers where he can make any throw with any arm angle, but he's also kind of in the mix of both in terms of how he thinks and processes the game. I think that McCarthy and Cam would actually be a pretty good fit. I think people, he's kind of like old news to people, you know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, at first Mike McCarthy was like the name that everybody had, was the guy. This is the guy we want to hire the Titans. I saw so many memes and graphics of Mike McCarthy being the Titans head coach. And then the cycle started and everybody was almost tired of saying it. You know what I mean? But that doesn't erase his track record. I think he won 12 games every single year when he was with the Cowboys. Like,
he's a winner,
I'm a Mike
bro.
McCarthy fan.
You know what else he did that may be his greatest achievement? He got Matt Flynn paid in the biggest heist of like the century. I mean, he got Matt Flynn to like break the market.
Him and Jimmy Garoppolo are definitely the biggest thieves.
It was unbelievable. I mean, he's just like, I think he probably won 10 games with Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn gets paid, and he does absolutely nothing, gets benched for Russell Wilson the next year. It's unbelievable.
I think he's worthy of happy, not hype. But do you think he's home run, though? Is he same level as Harbaugh to you?
I think he's a home run hire.
You know what, man?
I mean, the track record speaks for itself. Now, again, you have to understand that this guy, he's kind of milk toast, but he's a winner. He wins games no matter how you cut, slice, and dice it. He wins the games.
I'm going home run higher. Look, I know you're probably already mad if you're watching. That's totally fine. Cody, get ready to talk about Mr. KK. I know you're probably mad, but look, in the comments below, please, 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 just tell us what you think about it. That's all I want to know. Like, comment, subscribe, with all those things. But I want to really hear about what you think about this list. I want to know where you would have put these coaches. If you have any big arguments, let us know. But home run hire, Mike McCarthy. Next on the list, Cody, talk to the people about
Cliff Kingsberry.
Yes, sir.
Mr. So he's a very polarizing coach to me. He coached 6 years at Texas Tech. He was 35-40 in college. In college, he was 35-40. Gets the job as the Cardinals head coach. He has a record of 28-37-1. I think a lot of the reason why he took the Arizona Cardinals job is because he wanted to coach Kyler Murray and who could get Kyler Murray there.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray, for the most part, looked pretty good. But, I mean, Kyler Murray didn't really progress that much under Cliff Kingsbury. He's very much the same quarterback. He doesn't really run around as much anymore. And he hasn't really developed, in my opinion. Clearly, he's an offensive mind. He loves running the hurry-up offense. I think he ran like over 400 no-huddle plays more than like the next team in the NFL. And what does that do, Lim, to your defense if you go 3 and out?
They get him right back on that
Hey,
field.
Savondre Sweat gonna be over there mad as hell because he just now got the oxygen mask on. Like,
hey, when we do these player reviews, you got to get off my dog T-Sweat.
Yeah,
That's the second time you done brought my man's name up right now.
He's not 450 pounds either. He's like 350. But
yeah,
to me,
with Cliff,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So to me, Cliff Kingsbury he falls in the please no in the Michael Scott voice. I know for Randy's probably in the home run area of like, he loves Cliff Kingsbury. I really don't get it. I would be more happy with him as an OC, but only for an OC for like 1 season.
Yeah, the thing is, you're right. He does have this fall off thing that's happened with him. And maybe it's not fair because Jaden Daniels got hurt his second year. But he also had set records of 69% completion percentage, having Jaden Daniels looking absolutely amazing. Kyler Murray won Offensive Rookie of the Year under him. And he's adapted his current, he used to be all air raid, and he became just a balanced, play caller. So in my opinion, gosh, man, I can't say he's the same caliber as Matt Nagy. And Randy's not here, so forget Randy.
Hey, to me too, bro. I mean, this is an offensive guy. Like offense is his specialty. And with the Cardinals, his average offensive ranking was like in the middle of the pack, 15th.
Yeah, you're
like
right.
That's what you do as offense. So I mean, I don't know. It's just I would not be excited about it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Please note for Cliff, Randy's gonna be in the comments going crazy. He's gonna be sick when this happens. But it is what it is. Okay, I'll jump into our next candidate. This is a guy we'll probably have a pretty quick conversation about, but I wanted to put him here just because I think he embodies the general presence and the mentality of who we would want here as a coach. And that is Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. Sure, he was 11-21 as a head coach. Sure. Yes, his average offensive ranking is 25th, 25.5 to be exact. He was a guy worth bringing up purely because he's just a simple defensive guy who I think just brings the right mantra. The Broncos defense right now has been the best in the league for 2 years. And they've always had a solid defense, and he's been a part of that for the last few years, 2023 through 2025, and maybe he's going to continue. We'll see. But he's somebody who, yes, he's probably better as a DC hire if we bring him in. But I just wanted to bring him to the table because I'm not going to ignore what he's done with the defense. I'm just not, man. I think that he's somebody who maybe has seen some things, under old Sean over there that could teach him something. And, he also had Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch as his quarterbacks. What was he really given to succeed with? I cannot put all the blame on big Vance Joseph. I don't know, man. Tell me what you think.
So I would be very much depressed if we got him. So I do believe that I overheard listening to I don't remember if it was football or the F words, but he was a key component in drafting Bradley Chubb over a good quarterback, but I can't remember who it was. So I'm going to try to look that up real quick, but go ahead and keep talking about Vance, and I'll get the quarterback for you.
So for me, I do think quarterback development is not a strong suit, obviously. Now, he wasn't given the best quarterbacks to begin with, but did he make them at least look decent? No. They looked like who they were, and his record showed that. I think he would coordinate a heck of a defense. I do. But we have a number one overall quarterback. That's what we have, who's got a lot of talent. And do I think he'll continue to push him forward? I don't. Did you find what you were looking for?
He took Bradley Chubb over Josh Allen.
Big Josh Allen.
And he was a big and apparently like that was like his call. Like they wanted to take Josh Allen. He was like, "Get me Bradley Chubb," who they eventually traded to the Dolphins.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so
please no. I kind of knew he would be a please no, but it is what it is. Okay. Because this next guy is more of, I know Randy likes him, but you like him a lot, and then the guy after that is somebody I like, I'm going to let you take Big Kev.
Kevin Stefanski, two-time Coach of the Year. Okay. Now, this is another one that has recently become pretty polarizing because I think a lot is being taken into the press conferences with the players kind of talking about how they need like a leader and he's not that good of a leader and all this other stuff. He won in Cleveland, which is like damn near impossible. Now another report that I've heard coming out is that he didn't get along with Baker Mayfield and he basically got sick of Baker Mayfield and stopped coming to meetings to help Baker Mayfield out. And Baker was like, where's my coach at? And so that is a massive, massive issue. If I was to find something for Kevin Stefanski, I would probably put him in he was a home run for me when we first started all this stuff. And I think he's kind of fallen to happy but not hype. But yeah, like what do you think of Kevin Stefanski?
I think he's in the same tier for me. I think he's somebody who deserves more respect than what he's been given. He's had a litany of quarterbacks since the whole Deshaun Watson thing happened, which, has been noted as an ownership decision and that he's kind of forced on them. Mm-hmm. Even this past draft, drafting two quarterbacks in the same draft and having them fight over playing. Like, it was just one of those things where it just felt like there were just too many cooks in the kitchen. And at the same time, it also felt like he just maybe wasn't given just a fair shake. A two-time Coach of the Year, to have to deal with the type of turmoil, especially at the quarterback position, is pretty rough. Now, his defense the whole time been trill. His average,
he's
ranking
got that
is 7th.
He's got the relationship with Jim Schwartz, which he's got relationships to the Titans. So
yeah,
you would think that he would be instantly be able to bring in Jim Schwartz, and Jim Schwartz is like a phenomenal defensive coordinator.
And that's something where it's like, whether it's Stefanski's doing or not, I know he's not more for being on the offensive side of the ball, whatever. I think that, he's just been able to rally a team that plays hard and physical all the time. They are like the Memphis Grizzlies of football before this last couple of years. The Grizzlies have been terrible. But they're the Zach Randolph and Mark Gasol Grizzlies of the NFL, where they're just grit and grind. They want every game to be a close game. Of course, in that division, every game's rough. A lot of them are cold, muddy, snow sometimes. Like, it's a rough division. And I think that, the fact that he was able to have close to a 50% win percentage, given what he was dealing with the quarterback, I can't help but put him in the happy, not hype. I think with the right quarterback, bringing in the right, coordinators and so forth, he could set himself up for success. And hopefully he's learned some things too. Like, I'm not somebody who's just against the retread coaches. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of the ones we've talked about so far fall into that category, and we'll dibble and dabble into some others here in a second. But, to me, I think that you can learn so much from your failures if you're humble enough to do so. I'm about to preach right now. I feel like Drewski hanging from the thing. But, if you're humble enough to do so, you give yourself so many different opportunities in life. And really, when you go in for any job interview after the age of 25, 26, you are talking to other people about jobs that you left, whether you were fired, you quit, whatever. So at some point, that's deemed as a failure. If you didn't turn to the CEO of that company or, got promoted over and over, a lot of times if you're in a job interview or a different company, you're talking about the things that you learned in other positions to help provide you and get you ready for the one you're trying to take on. So I think that Kevin is somebody who's earned the right to be a head coach again and to be a head coach in the year after he got let go. And to me, he's a top. I know that there's a lot of names floating around, but to me, he's a top 4 to 5 candidate out there out of the 20 to 25 names floating around who the Titans want to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
But he's a top 4 to 5 candidate because of what he's done.
I mean, this too about Kevin Stefanski. I mean, his record may be 48-50. He lost 26 of those in the past 2 seasons. I mean, his record at one point was like phenomenal. But let me ask you something real quick about him. How do you take into account this? Because Sharon Davenport's talked about like he cannot oversee how Kevin Stefanski treated Shedeur Sanders and how that entire process went. And so when you think about Kevin Stefanski and him playing Dylan Gabriel, who clearly looked over his head for most of the time that he was playing, and you got Shedeur Sanders just sitting there, who at one point was probably determined to be like a top 2 pick until he started doing some of these interviews and started just being crazy.
Allegedly.
Do you take that? Yeah, allegedly. Do you just take that into account, or like, how do you factor that in?
That's the part where I think that there probably was too many cooks in the kitchen. I think that his issue wasn't with Shedeur himself, but I think his issue was more with being forced into the Shedeur. I'll just call it a circus because it's not Shadeur's fault. I'm not going to say that it's a circus because of him, but given who his dad is, given what he did in college, things of that nature, I think he was forced into that. So he was more upset with the situation that he was put in than he was with the player, and I think that that's what showed. Now, do I think he showed it in the right light sometimes? No, I do think that it came off as if he was against the guy. But you talk about, him being played, behind Dylan Gabriel, who got picked first. And I'm not saying that was, a right or wrong decision, but, I feel like he also had to work through that decision, and he did ultimately hand him the starting job even when Gabriel came back healthy. So, I think it was more of the situation he was put in versus him being upset with the player. But those are questions that have to be answered the correct way in the interview. I think those are things where, he's got one of the few interviews where there's a little bit of controversy that needs to be addressed, whether it's his fault or not. What are your thoughts on it, man?
I don't know, because it's just, to me, it's so hard to overlook 2 Coach of the Year awards. But he's also got like this little track record with 2 different quarterbacks where it kind of seems like he burned a bridge with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got the number 1 pick, Cam Ward. I mean, that's a major thing where it's just like, do I want to take the risk about this guy who may be a little bit of a, I don't know if the word's a hothead, or maybe his attitude is just inconsistent. And just to bring him in. But I mean, he won at the Browns, and that's hard to do. It's hard to win at the Browns. And he's got the connection to Jim Schwartz, which I think is a massive deal. I mean, Jim Schwartz is probably in the top 4 or 5 defensive coordinators in the league, and he would have our defense rolling. I mean, our defense would be, he probably figured out a way to make it pretty good if we get a couple good corners in here. But I think I've fallen still in the happy but not hype category now. When it first came out, I probably would have been home run.
Yeah, that's where I fall too, is right there. And the thing that makes me nervous with what you just mentioned is that's not really my guy mentality that could take place if things don't go the right way.
And it seems like he could be that guy. Like if it goes bad, he'll start doing I didn't draft him. I want Arch Manning.
That could definitely happen. Okay, jump into the next. I'm going with my guy.
This is your boy,
Mr. Robert Saleh. I think personally, he's got the mentality, and I think I've mentioned with a few guys now, to be a really impactful leader and defensive mind. So, jumping into some of his rankings as a head coach, his offenses were 26th, I think the worst out of the guys who we have on our list. So, man, wasn't the best average in terms of points scored. But he also had some quarterbacks we'll talk about in a second. His
Did he have
defense was
Justin
around
Fields
12.
too?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody on this list had Justin Fields.
That poor
He
bastard.
his sorry tail just went everywhere. But he had Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold when he was terrible. It's one of those things where he's been under the Brock Purdy. He's seen Brock Purdy, so maybe that's something that he can implement. Some things he's working with one of the, if not the best offensive mind in the league right now. As a head coach. So I personally think that Robert Saleh is a guy, just to break it down, 4 years as a Jets head coach. He was 18-33. He was fired in 2024. He's been, he's spent some time as a 49ers DC, and then back there again. He's one of those guys where I think I don't know, man. I don't have any issues with him. He's been a linebacker coach before. I think that he's another situation where quarterbacks and the pieces around him failed him. And I think it bodes well on him, as the last few years without him being there, or last year or two, you see what the Jets have been, dysfunctional. He was given a quarterback who also wanted to be the owner and the GM at the same time.
And then tore his Achilles after carrying the flag.
like what in the world, man? So
crazy.
I'm a guy who's not as down on Robert Saleh as what his record says. But talk to me. What do you think about him, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, his career record, again, this is what the Jets is 18-33. So you may have to, honestly, when you see all the stuff about Robert Saleh, you kind of have to take with a grain of salt because, this is very much a candidate that he can go into the room and say, I literally had nothing to work with. I literally had nothing to work with. I love his fire. Like this is a guy that's going to come into the room and he's going to command the room. I think this is the most Vrabel-esque type of personality that you could bring in. Somebody's going to come in that's going to be the ultimate player's coach. That's going to be able to get onto them, but still be their best friend. Like they're going to know that that he cares about them. His one red flag, and I know this is some of the weirdest things, but the way I understand things is that he kept tabs on the reporters and what they were saying about him. And I just think you're getting too distracted to be the head coach if you're focused on what the reporters are saying. Now, granted, our market is not as crazy and intense as New York, but we do have this guy named Paul Kuharsky who will go out there and he will lay it on the line and he will get Saleh riled up. And so, another thing that I really do like about him is the fact that I do like his fire, and I like the fact that he's got this personal vendetta against Liam Cohen. And right. He literally says, I will literally end your life. I'm pretty sure he said that on the field because Liam Cohen said that they accused him stealing signs or something. Yep. And so, that's a great rivalry thing. I want that because he's going to be wanting to beat the Jaguars every time he sees them. Go ahead.
With that being said, I personally have Robert Saleh in the happy not hype category. And I know we can't do this on a tier list. But the big caveat to that is depending on his OC. I think if he pulls in the right OC, it could be a home run hire pairing. You know what I mean? If it turns into Robert Saleh and even a Matt Nagy, Robert Saleh, Cliff Kingsbury, Robert Saleh, Mike McDaniels, who's the big name, any of those, is a home run hire, man. So for me, I have him in the happy not hype. Because I think as a person, at bare minimum, he's going to expect and demand the best out of our players. And again, I think he's learning from one of the best right now in Kyle Shanahan, and hopefully he can bring some of that here. Where would you slate him on the list?
I would probably put him, I would put happy but not hype. Yep, I agree.
Behind Stefanski or ahead of him?
Ahead.
I agree, man. I know we're talking about a two-time coach of the year. I know. He ain't the coach he said he is. I'm going with it, man.
Him and Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh, my God.
That energy would just be insane.
Like, come on, man. They're going to hear the ring of fire. Run up there and unplug the goddamn radio and shut down for what?
Shout out to any coach that we get. Please get that shit off the get that off the airwaves. I'm tired of hearing it when I go to the game.
Down, down, down. Like, that's not what I want to hear.
Wants to put me to
Cam
sleep.
Ward just broke 6 tackles and threw a 90-yard ball. I'm done with it.
When the little trumpet players and the drum people, I don't like y'all either. I wish y'all would go away too.
We're going to have a conversation about the Blue Crew. One day we're going to have a fan experience episode where we just talk about what we want to change at the new stadium. And that day is going to be my day to shine. Blue Crew, your days are numbered. I promise you, your days are numbered. I would rather hear Smyrna High School's band. I've never even seen them. I don't know why I said that. But I would rather hear that than the Blue Crew. All right, cool.
Dude, they're so bad.
We've got 5 candidates left. Let's jump to our next candidate, Jeff Hafley, and I'll let you cover the next guy. Jeff Hafley. All right. Currently, he is the Packers defensive coordinator. 7th has been his average rank there. He's been there since 2024. He spent 7 years as the DB coach for the Buccaneers, Browns, 49ers, 1 year as the Ohio State co-defensive coordinator, 4 years as the Boston College head coach, went 22 and 26 there, which is actually pretty impressive for Boston College, to be honest with you. I think Zay Flowers was the only person you could name from that team during that whole tenure. And then 2 years as the Packers DC, and he's been leading the top 10 defense in terms of points allowed, and that's even without Micah Parsons. So, me personally, I think he's a guy, man, who can come in and infuse a pop of culture. Jeff Hafley's not a guy who knows a lot about, who a lot of people know a lot about, I should say. But I think he's a guy who comes with a little bit of swag. He's a younger candidate. And the thing about having a Jeff Hafley is he's somebody where if he comes in and he does what he's supposed to do, he could potentially grow with us and somebody we could see being there for a very long time. What are your thoughts on Mr. Hafley?
So this is the first candidate that we've talked about yet that is not considered, or that just isn't. He's not a retread. So he has no head coaching experience, which we just had that experience with Brian Callahan. To me, Jeff Hafley strikes me as a football guy.
Yeah.
He strikes me as a football guy. I have to be completely honest, I don't really know that much about him. I started listening to some press conferences about him, and him talking about like his defenses, everything kind of gets me excited. To me, I would probably put him in the happy but not hype. Zach Lyons. This is Zach Lyons' number one guy. He wants Jeff Hafley more than anybody. And I trust a lot about what Zach Lyons thinks. I take a lot of that into account, especially when I don't know him that well. So I would put him in the happy but not hype category.
Yeah, for me, Hafley is one of those guys where I think he's just like to me, he's similar to like the defensive version of a Ben Johnson to me. Like he's this year's candidate where I think can come in and change the landscape of a team pretty quickly. And to me, the Packers aren't an organization that just hires anybody. You know what I mean? Like if you've been an OC or a DC with the Packers, such a prestige place, like I'm totally fine with it. And let's just be real. Like, hey, man, that wasn't his fault they lost. Look, it wasn't his fault. That wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. But like for real, I think that Hafley would be a solid piece for us. I've got him in the happy, not hype as well. I do have him behind Saleh and Stefanski. Where would you have him?
I would have him behind, yeah.
I think I may have him in between. I think I would rather have him than you know what? I can't do it.
I don't know, man. It's just the first head coach thing. And that's the thing, too, is like you could take – this is like the big swing, right? This is the guy where you're like, we're going to take our chance and try to get like the next innovative guy who we don't know that much about. That's the only reason.
It's interesting, man. What is it? 4 teams left in the playoffs right now. And you look at the makeup of the coaches. You've got Mike McDonald, a younger guy. You've got DeMeco Ryans, a younger guy. Then you got Shanahan and McVay, like the OGs of the game. You know what I mean? So I can't even look to like right now to be like, okay, yeah, this is what typically works.
I mean, the Bears came back from like what 21-3 on him. I mean, that's a tough look when you're like, Borgonzi's just like, what happened?
Question one. What happened?
Yeah. How you gonna let a guy with his fingernails painted do this to you? Like,
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah,
But Ben
exactly. And
Johnson's
Chad
phenomenal.
Brinker probably has some real deep connections still inside of that Packers front office to really learn about the core of it, and the core of who he is. I think from a personality and trait standpoint, he'll check out pretty well. And hopefully he makes it to the second. I want to at least see him in the second round of guys. It's going to be really interesting, Cody. I know this list right now is 19 or so, but I would guess for that second round, it may break down to like 5 or 6. It's going to be interesting to see who makes it that final cut because, there's a lot of dependencies here. But enough chatting on old Jeff. Let's move on to a guy who was there with your best friend, here with your best friend, I should say. Talk about
Arthur
Mr.
Smith,
Arthur.
Mr. Billionaire.
Is he really?
I mean, his dad owns FedEx.
I did not know.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
That's hilarious.
nuts. Wow.
Okay, but anyway, so Arthur Smith, he spent 10 seasons with the Tennessee Titans. He originally started as a defensive quality coach, then he switched to offense. Eventually, he became like the tight ends coach, and then became the offensive coordinator. And he led the greatest offense in Tennessee Titans history. He made Ryan Tannehill, who looked like a bum in Miami. Yeah, he was finger rolling it. He made Ryan Tannehill. I mean, we were having a conversation. He was going to be like in the MVP candidate because he was having like 35 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Derrick Henry had 2,000 yards rushing under him. The offensive line, I think he's a great offensive mind. I really do. Now, when he went to the Falcons, he was 22nd and 23rd in offensive defensive rankings. So I know that's not the greatest thing. But he also was working with freaking Desmond Ridder. So I mean, let's cut this guy some slack.
Come on now.
So now he's with the Steelers. And, the Steelers are not known for just being a high potent offense, and they got a 42-year-old at quarterback. I feel like he has nothing to work with at his past 2 destinations. So what is the best thing about Arthur Smith, if we're being honest? He knows how the organization works.
True.
He knows the inner workings. He knows how it runs. He knows how the owner is. So to me, I think I take that into a major. I think that's a major thing that he knows, like how the inner workings and how to move around in there, and how to you know what I mean. So I really like Arthur Smith.
Gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I really do.
So
now,
where are you putting them though? Let's talk about this.
I mean, this falls in the I guess, but
Oh,
it's just,
yeah.
I mean, I don't put him that high, but man, I like him. I do. I really, I don't know, man. I may be
question
happy.
For you is, you better not. My question for you is, without knowing the Titans organization, what's the difference between his resume and Cliff Kingsbury?
I mean, I kind of agree, but still, Cliff Kingsbury didn't have Kyler Murray throwing for 30 touchdowns. Cliff Kingsbury didn't lead to the number 1 ranked offense in the league.
He also had Jaden Daniels looking like an MVP candidate and Kyler Murray being the offensive rookie of the year. Like I would have him at the top of please no, but
really,
yeah, I just don't see him as a leader of men. I don't, man. I see him as a guy who just has this side of the ball, and he's really solid at one side of the ball, offense.
Hey, that's when you get the great defensive coordinator, get Dean Pease back in here. He has a relationship with Dean Pease. But I mean, like, I can definitely understand the please no, considering like who else is on the list. I just value him a lot more than I could look at Vance Joseph or Cliff Kingsbury.
That's fair. I just couldn't comfortably put him next to Matt Nagy either. That's where I'm at. If we had a tier in between, I'd be happy right now. But I can't put him next to a coach who went to the playoffs, won 12 games with Mitch Trubisky. I can't do it. Like, yes, Ryan Tannehill, that whole story was great. But
but he's had nothing to work with in his previous 2 stops. I mean, let's just be honest. Now, granted, okay, so here's a major knock, and you could put this into the please no for him, is that he had Bijan Robinson, and he won the split carries with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier.
Please no.
Okay. All right.
There's-
He probably would. I mean, he probably would get Tony Pollard up out of here. So that's another reason why you probably would want him gone. He's like,
Yeah,
I need
I'm
a power.
definitely, yeah. You're darn right. You're darn right. You're darn right. Okay. All right. Jumping over to our next candidate. We've got 3 left. Jesse Minter, Chargers DC. He's had, he's been there since 2025 season. 5th overall in terms of his defensive ranking. Jesse Minter, 4 years under John Harbaugh in Michigan. National champion, I might say. He actually was here in Nashville as the Vanderbilt DC. Look, man, he might have been a part of the change. Vanderbilt's, a powerhouse now, even though that was in 2021. He was a Ravens assistant. I'm always going to trust that. So he's actually connected to both Harbaughs. He's a defensive-minded guy. I think that there's, plenty of connections there. The Chargers had one of the top defenses in 2024, 2025. Again, national champion defensive coordinator. What he can do in terms of, quarterback development, we don't know that. He's going to have to hire a pretty solid DC in order to figure that out. But Jesse Minter is a guy for me. I know he's a really, really hot candidate right now, and he's a place that I think he may be in the top 2 or 3 in terms of requested interviews, even though Harbaugh's picking his own, so he didn't really fit into that category. I think that Jesse Minter is a guy who could really come in and change the culture. I'll tell you what I don't like, though.
Do you?
I do, man. But the only thing I don't like about him is he's with the Chargers. I just think that the Chargers, in general, are just known for not being able to get over the hump. That's just where I'm at with him, whether it's Phillip Rivers for years or even this past year. Like, that's where I got him. So, to me, he's an I guess guy above Matt Nagy.
You would take him over. Oh, no. You would take him over Arthur Smith?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
And you would take him above Matt Nagy?
I would, man. I think Jesse Minter, man, is somebody who's I just think he's just one of those up-and-coming guys, man. I view him higher than Aaron Glenn in last year's head coaching cycle. Like, I think that he's somebody who can truly orchestrate a defense. They've dealt with injuries, with the Chargers as well. And he just knows how to get it done, man. Being under both Harbaughs, I actually have some respect for that too. Like, I think that, you've learned a lot. Winning a national championship is not something that can be poo-pooed on. So, to me, I know he wasn't the head coach when he won it, but to me, I've got him in the I guess category. Are you in the please no?
And even just like looking at his picture, I'm just picturing like the Jonathan Gannon where he was trying to get like the Arizona Cardinals originally, trying to buy in. And I'm just like, I don't believe that this guy could just command the room like that. I don't know why. It gives me Brian Callahan vibes. I believe what I have in this room. I don't know. For whatever reason.
So where are you putting him, man? Where are you putting him?
I mean, I behind Arthur Smith.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay,
no.
but listen. This is I don't know that much about Jesse Minter too. So like, you may have done like a little bit more deep dives on. I've kind of listened to a couple things about him. But I'm not sold. I'm not sold on, if he can maybe bring in Connor Stallions and if we're getting all the signs stolen again, and that's going to lead us to the Super Bowl, then great, let's do that. But he also won the national championship, and he's getting the signs from freaking Connor Stallions. So,
hey, look, you still got to figure it out. Either way, you still got to line up and play ball.
I guess.
Look, I can't put him in the please no. I can settle for putting him behind Matt Nagy, but I'm sure not putting him in the same tier as Arthur Smith. I can't do that, man.
I was going to say that we need to move Arthur Smith up.
No, why? He's woo. I'm fine with moving Arthur Smith to I guess and putting Jesse Minter above Arthur Smith in I guess though. That's
you know what this is called, people? This is what we call a compromise.
That's my compromise. I'll move him up to I guess for your sake, but I'm putting him above him. All right.
And there's your marriage counseling for everybody out there. This is how you compromise.
All right. You want to talk a little bit about Chris Shula?
Another interesting candidate. Actually, you get us started. No, I found him. So he's got 2 years as a Rams defensive coordinator. He's 10th in points allowed. He's had seven years as being a Rams assistant, being the linebackers coach, passing game coordinator, and then he was with the Dolphins before that. This guy is heavy defensive minded. He could potentially bring in the next up and coming offensive coordinator in a Mike LaFleur, which is another polarizing name. People don't like him, but he also has connections to the Rams or for Matt Nagy, stuff like that. But he's made the Aaron Donald-less Rams defense into a top 10 defense, and that cannot be overlooked.
Yeah, and I like Shula. I think that, again, the Rams to me is a team I view similar to the Packers, just in terms of they hire the right people a lot, especially here recently, and they're a program that I respect. And on top of that, I think that Shula's going to come in, and really hire a really solid OC to go with him. Like, I think he's going to get one of those guys who's up and coming, who's innovative, spending some time under McVay, obviously, being around, being connected to Mike LaFleur, and maybe just, listen to a little call in with the family LaFleurs and say, oh, okay, this is how they do things over there on the offensive side of the ball. Like, I am a fan of it. I do think he's somebody who can continue to transform the defense. I think, to me, he's like Denard Wilson in 2 or 3 years. A little bit more seasoned, getting some more guys in, and really building a solid defense, and has a solid feel for what leadership looks like. To me, I put him in the happy, not hype category.
So you think he can be – hold on. So you think he can be Denard Wilson in 3 years?
No, what Denard Wilson will be in 3 years, I think, is what he is right now.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
No. What Denard Wilson will be in 3 years, I think that's where Chris Shula is right now, in terms of respect gained, in terms of being a defensive mind, and so forth. I put him probably behind Hafley in the happy, not hype.
Okay. So let me ask you something. And this would go for Jeff Hafley too, and Jesse Minter. So when you're bringing like these young DC guys, what route do you think is the best route to go for like an offensive coordinator? I think you would have to go more somebody who's been a previous head coach. Like I would not be comfortable with the Mike LaFleur route, because I don't want two young guys being brought in kind of deal. I think that's kind of sketchy in my opinion. I think you need somebody who's been a previous head coach to kind of, kind of lead him. Like, hey, this is kind of how you have to do things. As a head coach, you need to be doing things a little bit differently or whatever, just to kind of be his little angel on his shoulder, kind of get him through the mud a little bit at the start, at least.
And I'm of the same mindset, like, I don't want it to be similar where the Titans were, where we had 2 new coordinators with a new head coach. You know what I mean? And when something goes wrong, who do you lean on? Sure, we had people on the staff who had been head coaches before, Mike McCoy. We had a lot of guys who had been GMs at other places. Like, he had older presences to lean on. We had a lot of assistant coaches, who maybe could have helped out, assistant coordinators as well, who had been in, coordinator positions before. But to me, there's nothing like somebody who's been in the same seat you've been in. And I would love for it to be, again, a Kingsberry, a Naggie, somebody like that alongside of him, which is why I think we casted such a wide net. I think they wanted to talk to everybody possible, just in case they hired one of the young guys. And then I think one of the conversations is with, when you interview some of these young guys or some of the other guys who are retread candidates, hey, would you be open to an opportunity for, if you're not calling plays right now, like Matt Nagy coming over here and being play calling OC, and try to go the Matt LaFleur route like he did with us? Like, I think that those are the conversations that are being had to be able to prepare us for a Chris Shula, a Jesse Minter, or Jeff Hafley hire. And I think I personally put him above Hafley in the happy, not hype category. Where are you at with him?
You put him above Hafley.
I put him above.
Okay.
I changed my mind as I was talking.
Yeah. I think I can get down with that. I can get down.
Okay. All right. Oops. All right. Let's close this thing out with Mike McDaniel. If you listen to the MCA podcast, this is This is they're a whole little. I'm not gonna say they, but more of Graver's whole little thing. He's a Mike McDaniel's guy. I think he's innovative. I think he does get a bad rap in terms of not being a leader. His team didn't give up on him when they had plenty of reason to. I'm a big fan of Mike McDaniel. I don't know if he's home run for me, but I want to get your opinion on Mike McDaniel. First of all, 35 and 33, a winning percentage as a head coach, 2022 through 2025 with the Dolphins. Averaged 14, around 14th in terms of points scored during that tenure, and then points allowed around 20th. That's where we've got Mike McDaniel. Curious, Cody, what are your thoughts on old Mike and any other context you want to add?
It's very interesting how it seems like everybody would be so fired up for Mike McDaniel, and I would be too, and how everybody just kind of craps on Matt Nagy, and their records are essentially the same as head coaches. And I really do not, I don't get it. But I do think that this guy is an innovator. I think if he comes in here, our offensive floor is instantly raised. Now, the thing with him is that, you're going to have to take some of the quirkiness. You're going to have to understand that this guy, he's a little different. He's not the John Harbaugh. He's not the Mike McCarthy. He's a different kind of cat. And I don't know how his personality would match up with, downtown Nashville. Like, is he going to come in here wearing like a cowboy hat and cowboy boots? You look at his first picture of him before he got the job at Miami, and you look at him now, he looks like a completely different dude.
I know.
But that doesn't take away from like what this guy can do. Again, we talked about this on last pod, but I'll go over it again. In 2023, him and Tua were ranked first in offense, were over 400 yards of offense. They were first in passing game. They were sixth in rushing game. They scored almost 500 points, 61 touchdowns, 6.5 yards per play. I mean, this
70.
guy, he put up 70 on the Broncos on the road. I think he was on the road. So the thought of this guy with a quarterback of Cam Ward's talent and not Tua, I mean, it's hard to not get like excited for it. I mean, it really is. I think that he could scheme up Chimere DK to get him wide open in space where he can actually use his speed to get going. I think he could scheme up, a Chig or maybe a Kyle Pitts in free agency, get him wide open, running in space, get a George Pickens, I think he'd get people wide open. So to me, this is a home run hire. And I understand that I understand that he's kind of different and everything, but dude, it would just be so refreshing to have, first of all, he's already been a head coach. This isn't a Brian Callahan situation.
Yeah.
He's done it before. He's been successful at it, and he's gone to the playoffs. So now who do you bring as DC? I would bring Anthony Weaver in with him.
Yeah.
And he can be the
talent.
Yeah, and he's got that macho, he's got the machismo and everything to get the defense riled up. And I just think it's a perfect combination. I think the way that he likes to run offense, and I picture that with Cam Moore, dude, it's hard to not get excited.
He invented the cheat motion. We talk about people like DK and Io Manor not being the best at dealing with press. Cool. He figured out a way to deal with that. Like, to me, he is a home run hire. And it's crazy because, again, if you would have told me right when the season ended, hey, Mike McDaniels will be an option, I may have had him in the happy, not hype. But like all Titans fans, a little bit of dose of delusion, I could just see us being a top 10 offense, man, and what that would be, man, because for me, defense has never there's been times where defense has struggled, don't get me wrong, but like that's never been like the core issue of our teams. Like, to me, I feel like it's either been we can't score enough points or we have an idiot coach and we're false starting every time because we have no discipline. Like, I think that's really where it stands. Like, there's a lot of times where our defense has been good enough to be successful, and we've seen plenty of teams in the league where they have a defense ranked 20th and offense in the top 10, and they're a perennial playoff team because of that. And we could be that, and like you said, man, the things he would draw up for Cam Ward would just be absolutely magical, man. What he's doing with Devon A-Chain, like, that's that right there is just it makes sense, man. It does make sense. And he's got a few connections too, to where I think his DC hire, he's got 3 or 4 guys he could bring in. He's coached with Saleh before. Like, would he be interested in doing something like that? Like, that would be awesome, man. That would be awesome. It just that would be something. I don't even care who the OC is. You know,
it doesn't matter. I mean, Bobby Slowick
at that point.
I mean, I don't want Bo Hardery. I would rather have Bobby Slowick. He also has a relationship with Darrell Bevel, who's been, he's been in the league for a very long time. But get Anthony Weaver in here. If you're Mike McDaniels, get Anthony Weaver in here. Let's go.
I agree. Okay, last question before we close out this tier list. Is he above McCarthy for you?
Oh man, that's tough. I think so, just for the age.
I think so too. I'm gonna do it. I think so too, man. But I think all 3 of those are home run hires. But I do put him above McCarthy. Like you said, I think he's a younger player. He can identify more. Hearing, some of the clips of him talking to the players and how he, connects with them, it's definitely different. It's more of like, cool camp counselor who's actually smart. You know what I mean? Not like the cool pothead camp counselor. Not the potheads can't be smart, but you know what I mean. I don't smoke. I wasn't trying
You're
to
deep
myself.
thinkers.
Now I look guilty, but it's one of those things where I personally think that he could really just come in. For me, it's just about him and Cam. That's what excites me the most. Is Cam Ward will really get somebody who, call it what you want, man. He had Skylar Thompson scoring some points. Like, I am in on Mike McDaniel. I think he's a home run hire. And that's it, man. Like, I am totally fine with this tier list. I think that this is constructed exactly where I believe. Cody, what are your thoughts before we close it out?
I'm pretty pleased with it. I would probably have Arthur Smith a little bit higher. Even his picture, he looks rough. I mean, I'm just kind of looking. I mean, he looks like a ghost.
Yeah, and
so
that's what his resume
pale.
looks like too.
It's unbelievable.
He's got a real pale resume that you just love.
But listen, he's like a billionaire, and he's all about football. Like, I mean, he could have quit his job 50 years ago. So
true. That's true. You probably should have. Okay.
Okay.
Well, look, thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today. As we continue to dig through this coaching candidacy, we'll get more in depth as these numbers whittle down, and we'll talk about, who made it to the second round, what we think about those guys, and get even deeper in depth with them. But we wanted to just really have some fun with it today, see where they landed on our tier list. But before we do anything, please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning, whenever we put this out. We're out of here, man.